Hello guys, and welcome to Malaysia for the Malaysian Grand Prix in this 100% race career season 2. And the conditions here for the qualifying sessions appear to be nice and dry, although there is a 30% chance of rain on race day, and we are going to ignore that and go with a full dry setup, going out on a limb and hoping that the rain, should it present itself in the race, is not going to be heavy and is not going to be for an extended period of time. Anyway, here, jumping straight to Q1, we are out on our first set of unused options that we are going to be putting in a quick lap on. That should hopefully be enough just to get us right into Q2 without too much trouble. So Raikkonen is in first place right now, 138.931. We beat that by over 7/10 of a second, and that should be enough to get us into Q2, so we just pull over to the side here and take it back to the pits. And it is enough to get us into Q2 as we are quickest in Q1. This is not going to last for Q2 and 3, I expect. These are very slow times that we're doing right now. Q2 here, as you can see, the conditions have changed a little bit here as the sun has come out, and obviously the track temperature has to be rising as well. So it'll be nice to see whether or not there's going to be a change in overall pace here. We don't really have anything to compare with at the moment, as we are one of the first cars out on the track here, but we are a little slower than our Q1 time there, but this should be enough to get us into the shootout without too much hassle either. So we just pull over and see. And it is enough to get us into the shootout in a best time so far, 0.02 of a second better than Lewis Hamilton. And skipping straight to Q3 here, this is going to be our first lap, 138.528. This is not our best time so far. We were faster than this in Q1, so we stay out for yet another lap and see if we can improve on this. Currently, we are lying 6th on the grid, which isn't bad, but there should be room for improvement here. And we do manage to improve on our time there just a little bit, advance 1 place from 6th to 5th, and I guess that's all we have in us for today. And we end up starting number 6 on the grid tomorrow. What is interesting, though, is that Sebastian Vettel is on pole, followed by Daniel Ricciardo, meaning the Red Bulls have outmatched both the Mercedes. And not only that, also Valtteri Bottas has snuck into 3rd position. And as we look at the pit strategy here, the original plan was to go out and start on a set of primes and then finish off with 2 stints on option tires. However, as it appears to be raining from the start of the race here, we're going to be starting on intermediates. So I guess the only question is not whether or not it's going to rain today, but how much is it going to rain? And as you can see, Vettel is on pole. He has Ricciardo immediately behind him. We start behind Rosberg down in 6th position, and Jenson Button again way off the pace, starting in 12th. And we're off. We get a pretty decent start getting off the ground here without too much wheel spin. Outpacing Rosberg at the moment here, but he gets back up to speed, so we're just going to tuck in behind him, see if we can't benefit from his slipstream a little bit. Got to be aware when people start to break, and there's a huge gap here. We go around the outside, and I believe it was Ricciardo was running very wide indeed. There's a entire freeway on the inside of him. We take the open space, duck down underneath Ricciardo, and we are into 1st position through the first turn of the race. Just doing a little bit of short shifting here, making sure we don't lose the back end here in these wet conditions. And as you can see, we've already opened up a bit of a gap here, about a second down to Ricciardo, who's in 2nd position. I would really hate to give that away at this point just because I got on the throttle too soon. So big shake-up from the start here. We go from 6th to 1st in the first corner, and Ricciardo is into 2nd, and Vettel, who was on pole, is down in 3rd at the moment. Just running a little wide here. This turn in these conditions is definitely not an easy one. As you can see, the track is already a lot wetter than it was just a lap ago, and I'm really hoping that we do not have to go to full wets at any point. Ideally, if we can get through this first wet stint and change to a set of dries, that would be absolutely perfect. Say if the rain stops in about 15 minutes or so, that's pretty much going to coincide with us having to do our first pit stop anyway. So that would be ideal, but we're going to have to see what happens here. The rain has increased, and where it's going to go from here is anybody's guess. Jumping to lap 4, we've opened up a gap down to Ricciardo of about 4.5 seconds here, and also Bottas has now overtaken Sebastian Vettel and is up to 3rd position. And all of this is happening while we're running with our fuel mix 1, trying to keep the horsepower under control. Don't do any stupid spins or anything like that in these conditions. Running in lean mode usually helps, and it's a great opportunity to save some fuel. And ideally, like I said before, if the rain stops, we're going to have to spare fuel to really start pushing on the dry tires. Lap 7 now. Bottas is up to 2nd position with Rosberg in 3rd. Ricciardo has dropped to 4th, so lots of action going on behind us there. And Bottas is about 6.5 seconds down at the moment. And as you can see there, just as I say that, Rosberg is now up to P2. And that is bad news for us, because usually the Williams cars are not very quick on their first stint. They usually start out rather slow. However, the Mercs do not seem to have this limit and just seem to push right from the get-go. So I would expect Rosberg to start catching up to us now. Skipping on ahead to lap 10 here, just as I said, I would expect Rosberg to start catching us, and he has, as the gap is now down to about 3 seconds, and also he's opened up a gap down to Bottas of 4 seconds. So Rosberg is really moving at this point, and I would expect us to come under pressure really soon. And on lap 14, just as expected, Rosberg has closed the gap on us and is starting to put us under pressure here. He has to look down the inside, coming out of the corner with a better line than we have, and it's going to be a race for the line here. Amazingly enough, the McLaren has the straight line speed to match and beat the Mercedes in a clean race. And that's a surprise, I have to say. But also, we get the information from the pit that the rain is about to stop, or expected to stop, in about 5 minutes' time. And as we were supposed to be making our first stop at lap 18, this may mean that we are going to be staying out a little longer on these intermediates, hoping for the track to dry up really quick if the rain stops. Jumping to lap 16 here, Rosberg is going to have another look down the inside of us there. He gets alongside of us, but he does not seem to have the power to move on further than that. And that is obviously a positive. That is not something I'm used to. I'm used to having to block left and right whenever somebody comes up from behind. Obviously, he doesn't have DRS at this point, but as you can see, he does not have the clean engine power either to go by us. And also, Hamilton has now passed Ricciardo and is into P4. Skipping ahead to lap 18 here, we're supposed to be coming in for our first stop of the race, but as you can see, the rain has now stopped, and Rosberg behind us goes in for a pit stop. That's not very wise indeed. That's a typical AI move. But we're going to be staying out here for a few extra laps, hoping for the track to dry up real quick so we can go in and change directly to a set of dry tires, because I have to expect that Rosberg has changed to another set of intermediates right now, giving himself effectively an extra pit stop. Skipping ahead to lap 21, as you can see, the track conditions have improved and the track is starting to dry up. So I guess this is the time to go in and change to a set of option tires. And as you can see there are a lot of AI cars in the pits already making that extra stop. So effectively, even though we had a poor couple of laps here on a set of very worn intermediates, I still think we must have saved about 12 or 15 seconds here. Just as expected here, we managed to rejoin the track in first position on lap 22.
Your car's fitted with the option tyres, just one stop to go now.
Lap 25, Rosberg is in second position now and is really turning on the jets at this point. He is lapping about 1.5 seconds quicker than us consistently. Also, Bottas is about 16 seconds down on him, meaning we are matching his pace. And I suppose that's all we can really hope for here. The McLaren is not a Mercedes, and this was to be expected. I guess the only real question is, where did the Red Bulls go? Skipping ahead to lap 27, Rosberg is continuing his crusade here and is lapping about 2 seconds quicker than we are at the moment. 1:38, 1:53. Our best time so far has been 1:40, 5:28. So, big difference in pace right now. And we're so desperate for speed right now that we have even resorted to cutting corners. So at this point in the race, the champion Rosberg really looking like he's on a mission. But take a good look at the number of cars running. 22 becomes 21. And Bottas overtakes Rosberg, as does Ricciardo. And on lap 27 of the Malaysian Grand Prix, the defending world champion, Nico Rosberg, is out of the race. So bad luck for Rosberg. Good news for us, as this means we have Bottas in second right now, who we are matching pace with. And jumping right ahead here to lap 34, you can see Ricciardo is starting to pick up pace yet again and has passed Bottas and is now into second position. He's about 12 seconds down on us, so we still have a bit of a cushion, and hopefully he's not going to be as fast as Rosberg was. However, that said, those familiar with this series will remember that both the Red Bulls were very fast in the latter stages of the race at Albert Park in Australia. And not a total surprise here on lap 38, Ricciardo has closed the gap to about 10 seconds. We're supposed to be coming in for our second stop of the race, but I'm not sure we can go 18 laps on a set of option tires without suffering near the end. So even though these tires are starting to go, I really want to squeeze out an extra set of laps on them just to make sure that we can go full out on the last stint. And on lap 41, we come in for our final stop of the race. Both Ricciardo and Hamilton have already been in the pit. They were in on the previous lap here, and it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to be able to squeeze out just in front of them. With a little luck, we should be able to do so. Looking at the mini track there, it's going to be right down to the wire. Both Ricciardo and Hamilton come blasting by us there, and Hamilton overtakes Ricciardo going into the turn. And on lap 41 of the Malaysian Grand Prix, we have positions 1, 2, and 3 within 1 second of each other. And this lap is really going to be a test. We're on cold tires here, but oh, if we could just hang on to the back end of Ricciardo there, staying within DRS distance. Jumping ahead to lap 43 here, the situation is virtually unchanged, and so is the gap. However, we're starting to run into some backmarker traffic, and unfortunately it seems that both Hamilton and Ricciardo have the benefit of passing these backmarkers on the straights, while we have to contend with them in the corners. And these AI cars, they have a nasty habit of just parking themselves on the apex, costing us half a second here, a full second there, and on lap 50, the gap has increased to 6 seconds. Given the fact that we only have 6 laps left, it looks like we're going to have to take something like 1.5 seconds out of Ricciardo on each of those laps, and I don't think that is very realistic. Jumping to lap 55, we have managed to close the gap just a little bit here, but only about 1 second or so, so it's not going to matter in the end. And also, as you can see there, Sebastian Vettel is now up into P4, having overtaken Valtteri Bottas behind us. So at this point, I guess it's going to be all about just getting the car home and securing this podium position for the points. So Lewis Hamilton, as expected, takes the Malaysian Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo, barring any major incidents here, is going to finish in second. We are going to be coming home in third for our first podium position of the year. And all in all, considering that this race started out as a wet race, I think third position, not so bad at all. However, having led the race for such a long stretch after making that great start there and not being able to finish it off, kind of makes me feel a little disappointed there. But both Hamilton and Ricciardo were just so darn fast when it came right down to it. And also, we were a little lucky seeing as Rosberg crashed out or had to retire due to mechanical failure or something like that, because he was also way better than our pace at the current time of his retirement. So let's see who else didn't finish. Jenson Button here, he had an altercation on one of the first laps. I was told that he was in the pits very early, so he ends up a lap down in 12th position, and so far is being a disappointment to the McLaren team, I have to say. Championship standings, Lewis Hamilton is leading this one, Daniel Ricciardo is in second, and we are in third, ahead of Sebastian Vettel. At any rate, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to leave a like or subscribe even. And I'll be back soon enough with more F1 2014 100% race career action. Bye-bye.